Hi, and welcome to this installment of Frank and Mary here in Hudson. For those of you who haven't seen this show, my name is Arthur Bergeron. I'm an attorney. I do nothing but elder law. I work at Myrick O'Connell. There are 70 of us, biggest law firm outside of Boston, so everybody gets to do what they like doing. And I do nothing but elder law because I'm old, right? I'm turning 70 in January. How exciting, turning 70 in January.
Oh.
You remember?
I remember 70.
I remember my dad would always say, to be 80 again. I told a client of mine that recently. He said, to be 90 again, right? So anyway, I do elder law. But the purpose of this show is not to talk about law, but really to talk about my friends Frank and Mary. Many of you have heard of them or seen them, and their kids, Peter, Paul, and Mary Jr., and their goal in life is to live in their house until they die and be buried in the backyard. And if you live in Hudson, that means you want all of that to happen in Hudson. You don't want to move far away. You don't want to go to San Diego where your son lives or to D.C. where your daughter lives. You want to stay around here. So because this is really about aging in Hudson, staying in Hudson, I wanted a co-host that really knew about that. And so my friend Jackie Kapopoulos, whom I met through my friend Janice Long at the Senior Center, right, who was my original host, but got so shy about doing this. She said, I can't stand it. Now, does she strike you as kind of the wallflower? I don't understand.
She's very busy, and I think that I think it's hard for her to make the time to get away.
That's because there were a couple times because she's so dedicated, and something would come up.
She felt bad canceling, so she asked me if I could step in.
And you've been kind enough to do that, which has been terrific. And the reason why you got to step in was because you're the chairman of the board of the...
I am the vice president.
The vice president, excuse me.
Of the Friends of the Hudson
Friends of the Hudson, right.
I was the president at the time I volunteered.
But there was a palace coup and they threw you out?
They threw me out, yeah.
No, never. Yeah. They never...
Can't stay in office over 2 terms.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a really good idea. Yeah. So you're still very actively involved.
Very active, yep.
And so we wanted to start off by talking about kind of what the Friends are doing. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about how you got onto the Friends. And then I wanted to talk about what you did before then, because I think it's really relevant to an issue that we're going to be talking about a lot over the next year. So start off, what's going on at the Friends? Okay,
well, right now we're preparing for our annual Fall Fair.
The Fall Fair.
Which is going to be on November 2nd.
Yeah.
And
what day of the week is that?
It is a Saturday.
It's a Saturday?
Saturday the 2nd. We've had it for years on the first Saturday in November.
Yeah.
And we have a variety of knit goods, quilted goods, basket raffles.
Yeah.
We have gift card raffles.
Oh, and where does this happen?
Right at the Senior Center.
Right at the Senior Center?
Right at the Senior Center.
And what time during the day?
It's going from 9 to 2 in the afternoon.
9 to 2.
9 to 2. And it's usually very well attended, and we serve a lunch there for $3. You can get 2 small sandwiches and chips, or you can get chili or chowder and cornbread. And so, a lot of people take advantage of that. So we have really a very full day planned. We also, new this year, we have 2 mediums coming. One who reads cards, and another one who does mediums. One's a card reader and one does mediums. And
by a medium, you mean she's communicating with the spirit world?
Yes, with the spirit world.
Is this during the...
It is going to be 9 to 2, first come, first serve. It's $15 a reading.
Yeah.
We've had these events before, but on a specific day. We called it our psychic fair.
Yeah.
But we no longer have a psychic fair, and it was well attended.
Yeah.
So last year we did not have it, and this year we were able to recruit 2 of the people who have done it in the past.
Yeah.
And so they're going to be doing it from 9 to 2, first come, first serve, sign up, and 15-minute readings. And a lot of people enjoy that.
So how did you come to start doing that? That's the first time I've heard of a senior center do this.
I have no idea how it started. But when a lot of people, I can remember my mother-in-law, she loved to have her cards read or her fortune told.
Or her fortune told.
They used to have fortune-telling parties, things like that. And so
They used to have fortune-telling parties?
Yeah, way back in the day,
Like at home,
in the
like-
60s.
Yeah?
In the 60s in Cambridge, where I originally came from.
Oh, you're from
So
Cambridge.
they,
This
yeah,
explains
not the
it.
country.
This explains it. You're
Right,
from the
right.
People's Republic of Cambridge.
Yes,
Well, that's a
yes,
different.
yes,
that's a whole
yes.
different zone over there, right?
So it's very popular.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people are really into it. They're into astrology, that kind of thing. So, the suggestion was made, why don't we try to have a couple of readers come
Yeah.
and see if that brings more people
Yeah.
to the fair. We also have our gift shop will be open, and there's a large quantity of jewelry, this and that, pocketbooks. So there's a lot going on.
Just a ton of stuff.
Yeah, and
Just
it's
ton of stuff.
it's a fun day. We
Yeah.
have coffee, complimentary coffee, and we usually have out a bucket of donut holes.
Yeah.
And people can just kind of browse,
And
and
browse
they can
around,
stay
yeah.
for lunch and then leave or whatever.
Now, and are all proceeds to the Friends?
All the proceeds goes to the Friends.
And so give us a sense, because the question always comes up. So, what do they do with their money? What do the Friends do with? What do you do with your money?
We do a lot with that money. We help Janice.
You don't go to Foxwoods all the time.
No, no.
The officers don't get. The vice president doesn't get a
No.
big stipend out of this. No.
No. All volunteer
All
work,
volunteer,
Arthur.
yeah,
All
yeah.
volunteer work. Well, we like the senior center's printer broke down. We bought them a big industrial state-of-the-art printer to replace.
Oh, that's a big
we
ticket
pay
item.
for all the postage for the newsletters that go out. We pay for, we help with some programs that Janice can't pay for entirely on her own.
Right.
Through grants, and so we subsidize. We bought the 2 buses for the senior center.
You bought the buses.
The Friends bought the buses. And we just bought one
These
bus.
are big ticket items.
They are big ticket items. And we're getting another bus another new bus in January. Right now, we have a certain amount of money set aside because we have a deck existing on the back of the senior center. It never gets used. Never gets used.
I remember the first time I saw it. I think I'd been there for 5 years before I even saw the deck.
Yeah, no, it never
Great
gets
concept.
used.
It overlooks the
It is
pond.
a beautiful concept, but it never gets used. It's full sun all day.
Yeah.
So we did a study, and we had an estimator come in and estimate how much it would cost, and the Friends voted to put aside a certain amount of money in order to have that enclosed.
Oh.
So this has been going on for 4 years.
Yeah.
It's going to be a town project. A couple of estimates came in for the project, like $100,000 and $200,000 over what we were told initially it would be. So we're looking at different alternatives and trying to find a way that we can make it happen, because we really want it to happen. And that would be like it would be an all-purpose room, but really we have a beautiful library. And what we've done, we put a pool room in.
Yeah.
And when we put the pool room in, the people who played games had to move into the library in order to play their games. They set up 2 tables and they play their games. And what we want to do is have this room for them to play their games.
So that'll be the game room.
So it'll be
it's a
like
very
a
attractive,
game room.
It's a very attractive space.
And it would be also overflow for some of the events that we have, the dinners that we have.
Yeah.
So it would create extra space. It's really a very simple design. I mean, we didn't go crazy. We went with the most practical concept for design that wasn't going to be involve any wasteful or frills
Right.
spending. It's going to be just very simple.
Well, that's true of your whole senior center, though. It's very practically. I mean, it's very attractive, but it's very practically
Oh,
designed.
it's
Right.
beautiful.
It's beautiful.
It's an older house, and it was just redesigned beautifully.
So, I would assume that you're not paying for stuff like that just with money from the senior fair. So, how do people make
money-
large contributions to
Money
the Friends?
has accumulated and
Yeah.
accumulated over the years, so that when
Now, it's been my experience that money doesn't just accumulate. Somebody's been paying attention.
somebody's been
Right.
paying attention, and
Right.
really, way before I came,
Yeah,
going years back,
yeah,
for a rainy day,
Yeah.
and when I became president, I felt like now is the time to spend some of this money
Yeah.
on a project like that and closing the deck, because it would be, valuable. The pool room, we bought the pool tables for the pool room, so we provided a lot of the essentials for activities
Right.
there. If
which is why you get a lot of people.
we get a lot of people, so
Right.
we
It isn't-
had
it isn't
we
just
had
a
this
shell, right?
we had this amount of money
Yeah.
that we felt like we could safely invest in having this room done. So now, it didn't jeopardize if another printer went, we'd still be able
Right.
to pay for another printer. It didn't jeopardize any future projects, and it certainly didn't empty out our bank account.
So, are you
But-
still thinking that this is going to happen like in the coming year, like in 2020?
Well, don't know. It's been on the burner for 4 years now, and things go to snail's
Well,
pace.
I'm getting older here now, Jackie.
Oh,
So I just
listen,
want.
I'm getting older.
You don't seem to age much, but I'm like falling apart. So I want to know that I can
I
still
was
use this
hoping
room.
before I ended my presidency that it would be a done deal,
Yeah.
and it's not. But we're hoping. We're still hoping that we can find a
That
way
this will
to
happen,
do it.
that this will happen.
So that's where that's at, and what we're trying to do now. Janice has another program that she would like to consider starting now. For you folks out there listening,
Excuse me.
this is just in the talking stages. But she would like to have what they call a cafe, like Northborough has, and serve lunches and dinners at this cafe for a certain amount of money. Very affordable.
Yep.
But we would need to hire a chef, and we would need to infuse it with seed money from
I was
the
going to say,
Friends.
do you have a kitchen for that? Do you have an
We
industrial?
do.
You have an industrial
we have
kitchen.
We have a full-service kitchen.
That's great.
We have a full-service. As a matter of fact, for the Hudson, for our fall fair, we
Yeah.
make apple pies. We make 50 apple pies, and we do all of that
Oh,
in our
so
own
that's a
kitchen.
good-sized kitchen.
Yeah, it's a beautiful kitchen. Oh,
Now, have you been to the Northborough one? The
the
Northborough
cafe?
Yeah.
No, I have not.
You
but
gotta go. It's
Janice-
amazing.
Yeah, well,
Amazing.
there you go.
But that's one of the things. One of the great things about that Janice has really done is she's really worked on that collaboration. I know you folks in Northborough
Right.
and Marlborough. They're like the three amigos
Mm-hmm.
now at the Council on Aging, the statewide meetings, right? And they're always thinking of new programs.
Right.
And incidentally, I know that, was it Janice who was just telling me that regarding that Daybreak program, which was really initiated here, the drop off once
Right.
again the drop off program
Correct.
for folks who have got a caregiver and a spouse, and someone has memory issues, right? That had expanded to the other two communities, and now you're even including Sudbury in it. Starting very shortly, Sudbury is going to do either Mondays or Fridays, so you're now going to be able to offer people really 4 days a week,
Right.
which is great.
Oh,
just great.
It's fabulous. People need a respite from
Yes.
the daily,
But it shows that kind of
camaraderie.
each one is developing their own programs, and then it's great as the Friends, because you folks have been good with kind of you saving the money for the right kind of program. You have that ability to seed a program to see if it works. So, like as you say, this notion of being able to seed the money for the chef. I know that in Northborough, that's just what they did. The Friends
Right.
financed the chef until the program ended up attracting so many people, and it gets a ton of people now. Of course, they got a good chef, right? Gets a ton of people, and now it pays for itself.
That's right.
Even at these very discounted rates. And now they're hiring like a second person there because they need more staff.
That's wonderful.
Which is great.
That's wonderful.
Which is
Anything
great.
that can, help get seniors out and social and enjoying life.
Yes.
Yes. And I think that's what the senior center is all about. I know it's what Janice is all about.
And I guess this gets to a topic that I know I had mentioned to you. I'd like to just talk a little bit about because of your own background, which is I know that so before you did all of this stuff, right? You weren't like spend your life preparing to be the Friends of the Senior, right? You had a career in really a lot of it at Marlborough Hospital, right?
Right. I was a nurse at Marlborough Hospital. I did a little bit of medical surgical nursing, but then when their psychiatric unit opened, I went there and spent the last 30 years of my career working in a psychiatric setting.
Just in dealing with people who've got this whole variety of
Absolutely. We dealt with a lot of the aging population, people with dementia, people with depression. And they would come to us and they'd get med evaluations and they would get physical workups too. And then, either sent back home with follow-up appointments or day treatment or some sort of a setting that was appropriate.
That was appropriate. And I think that's kind of one of the, I don't want to say it's like a secret, but it's just when you think about having a psych unit in a hospital, you don't typically think about that being a place where a lot of seniors go.
Right.
And there are a lot of seniors that go, right? Because as you mentioned, there are folks with dementia symptoms, there are folks with depression, and I think the statistic was like that depression is like the fourth largest causer of dementia, right? Because it's one of those things that just leads you down that path, So, from your experience dealing with that stuff, where do you think all of that is going? Do you think that the care for those folks has changed much since you were there? And how do seniors deal with it? And the reason why I ask is I know that one of the reasons I encourage seniors, right, to get involved with the senior center is to really so that you really have this whole network of folks, right? So that as you get older, among other things, so first of all, as you're younger, if you're younger and still healthy, you can be helping. And then as you get older, there are people who who are going to be there. Because one of the hardest things for folks, once again, I think of it compared to when we were growing up, there were no families. There were no for most people, there were no large families around that can really kind of help you when you have an emergency. So you really need to be kind of being part of that community. It's just a real challenge.
I think that, with people, the whole population is getting older. I mean, there are cures where there weren't cures before.
It's amazing.
Look at all the assisted care facilities that are going up, the over 55 facilities that are going up. All of those things encourage socialization and community. A lot of the assisted care facilities have independent. They have 3 different levels. They have the independent, and you can take part in the activities of the assisted portion, the assisted, and then they have, a lot of them have nursing homes, a lot of them have dementia units.
Or at least memory communities. Yes. That seems to be kind of a standard part of the model now.
Yeah.
I know I just did the permitting for the one that's being built in Marlborough, right on Bolton Street next to the school. And that has a memory care wing, and I think I bet that's just going to be very common. So you really have in those places.
So that all of this I think really speaks to the growing aging population, and the problems that go with it. Because it's wonderful to live longer, but we're like an old car. We constantly need tune-ups,
You need
and
tune-ups.
we need maybe new parts, and you know, we need a lot of maintenance.
And if you're Frank and Mary, if your goal, I know for a lot of folks, they either for financial reasons or just because they don't want to live with somebody right on the other side of a wall, you know, they want to stay in their home. But then what's hard about that is you're just in your home, right? And the tendency is just to stay in the house, you know. And your neighbors oftentimes, well, for many of the, like some of the subdivisions, when I think about the like Lakeview, there's still folks at Lakeview that were our first-time owners from Lakeview, right?
Yep.
But the neighborhood's kind of changed.
Oh, it has, yeah.
You know?
I used to live in Lakeview.
You did?
Yeah.
So to stay social there, so many of the people that you knew, and you would babysitting
Right.
for the kids next door, but
Right.
they've grown up and they've gone.
Right.
So
Right.
then how do you connect up?
Well, I think that is, you know, every individual is very different. The senior center is a great avenue. They have a bus that will pick people up, bring them to the center, pick them up, take them to shop, or, you know, pick them up and take them to a doctor's appointment. Some people do well with socialization. They want it. We have one resident, and actually she lives where I live.
Where are you?
I
Where are
live
you
at
now?
the Esplanade
You
on
li- you're
Main
at the
Street.
Esplanade.
And she's in her 90s, and
Yeah.
she's right in the unit next to me.
Yeah.
And she has two sons who are really quite attentive to her.
Yeah.
But she goes to the
I
senior
love that
center.
place, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
I love the
it
units.
too.
I
Yeah.
love the elevator. You know,
Yeah.
it's so
It is a
accommodating.
perfect place for someone downsizing,
Right.
to me. But anyway, and she goes to the senior center, and she just sits there. She rarely engages in conversation with anyone, but she's there amongst other people. She doesn't play any games or participate in any activities. She'll eat the food that's there.
Yeah.
She might have lunch there.
Yeah.
But
But she just likes being there.
she just likes being with herself, and other people love to go sit there and just talk. But I notice a lot of people who sit in the great room and
Yep.
drink coffee and don't really do a lot of conversing. I think it's just having people around them and some activity going on.
Yes.
And again, you know, people, I think some people don't want that. It's too confusing for them, too stimulating for them. And that's fine as long as they're got their routine and they're not depressed. If someone is feeling isolated, there are all sorts of services that will come into your home now. Companions. If people get to end of life kind of situations, companions will come in and be with them and get to know them to help them through all of this. You know, it's nice. It's a nice thought to stay in your home. It can't always be possible.
But it can't always work.
Right,
Right,
right. I
right.
mean, it really depends upon the situation.
I suppose one of the challenges for the senior centers going forward is just to kind of help people not be stuck. So
right.
that because I think you get folks for whom, for example, as you described, the situation like at the Esplanade has worked out very well, but then their lives start changing. And of course, as you say, no one's getting any younger. So it always changes in one direction, right? It isn't, you know, and at some point maybe you need some more help, or maybe you are getting lonely. But but the question. So by the way, for you, those of you who are watching, every once in a while, it isn't because we have a crick in our neck. Is that every once in a while we start gossiping like this, and then somebody has to tell us to shut up. So we get kind of a note that's saying, you know, you kind of need to wrap this up. But so that's why I did it. But so the question is, you know, how can you as a senior center kind of be being aware of all these folks? And that's a real challenge, right?
Well, I don't think the senior center can be aware of all these folks. I think we're aware of the ones who reach out. There are churches. I go to St. Michael's Church,
Yeah.
and I know they have a laity that reaches out to homebound people. I know that other denominations do the same thing. So I think that there are a number of different venues that do reach out to people if they're known
Right.
and if they want that. I think it's very hard for someone, say, who's living in Lakeview, who's older, maybe starts having vision problems or starts having some coordination problems or memory problems, and they find that they can't drive anymore. They've had an accident, they can't drive.
And you're in
You know,
Lakeview.
And you're in Lakeview. What do you do to get around if you don't have children? People, again, can utilize the senior center to get help, to find out where to get it, to have a bus come by and pick them up and drop them off.
And-
If they want to maintain that independence.
Right, right. And I think that the key to that is to make sure that people are aware of that, that they can, kind of my mantra with folks, always call the senior center. You don't know what you don't know. You don't know that there may be something that can really help your situation. You don't know until you call. But then the flip side of that is if you're a senior, also call the senior center to volunteer, because that's the way this works. The only way that this works into the future is if people are volunteering.
And we need volunteers. We need people, young people in their 60s, to come and volunteer. When you retire, come and see us. It's very, very hard to recruit volunteers. We have a certain core of around 10 women who are getting older.
Yep.
And
that tends
that's
to happen.
including myself.
Yeah, because you tend to have a set of people and your friends, and you kind of keep doing it, right?
Yep.
But then you kind of turn around and all of a sudden there's nobody.
Well, we've really tried to recruit, but
Yeah.
people may be involved in other things. But
boy, in many ways, once you get to be our age, right? There's probably no more important place to be involved than in the seniors.
It's a great place to be involved.
Because they're the kind of the eyes and ears of that community, through which you can see kind of what else is going on, and through which you can also figure out what interests you have, right, that could really help some other people. Because a lot of people have time, right? So for this program, I'm going to ask our producers to also add a banner to this, which is the line for the senior center. Do you recall you have the phone number, or we're just going to put it up, right?
I don't.
We're going to make sure that we put that up, because I think one of the purposes of the show, other than to gossip and to find out, and by the way, you ought to go to go to the senior fair, and if you get any questions about it, you should be giving them a call.
Really, please come and look the organization over, ask some questions. Commitments aren't excessive if you're a volunteer. It's not like you're going to be locked into something, a certain day a week, every month, or whatever. It's very loose. So please don't be afraid of being overly committed.
Right.
You can do lots of other things besides be a
volunteer at the
be a
senior
dollar,
center. Yeah.
right.
And if you're Frank, if you want to live here for the rest of your life and you're still healthy, you owe it. You owe it, because at some point you're going to be wanting withdrawals from that favor bank, right? Because you're going to be wanting to have someone pick you up, and that could be you could be the person picking somebody up right now. You're going to be wanting that meal to be delivered by one of those Meals on Wheels volunteers, and those are people at the senior center. So we're kind of, once again, I'm turning 70 in January. We're all in this together. But the only way this works is if the folks who have got things to give are giving, so that the folks who need things can be getting.
Yep.
Otherwise, this just isn't going to work. So thank you very much. I
Thank
hope
you.
I hope you enjoy this program. Thanks a million, Jack.
Thank you.
This is just what I was hoping we could
Okay.
accomplish, right?
Okay.
We'll see you on the next installment. Oh, and then on the next installment, Janice Allen told me I should be advertising this. Because it's Medicare, it's sign-up season again. We're going to have folks from the Senior Center, and that's the place where you should be talking, to be looking not only at what your drug plan might be that would work the best for you, but more generally what your Medicare plan should be. Many of us older folks still think that Medicare is just about Medicare A and B, the standard plans. No one's looked at these Medicare Advantage plans, which can be very, very, very helpful to you, and you can sign up new every year. So we hope you watch the next program. We hope you stop at the fair. If you're healthy, volunteer. If you think you need something, call and find out if they can get it for you. Thanks very much for watching. We'll look forward to seeing you on the next installment of Frank and Mary here in Hudson. Thank you.